Welcome to Solving Problems Using Equations Part 1. Your learning objective in this video is to learn how to use equations to solve problems. Now, remember this, the main use of equations is to help you solve problems. Now, here are the steps that you are going to follow in solving problems using equations. Step 1. Introduce a variable or pronumeral. Step 2. Write down an equation. Step 3. Solve the equation. And the last step, which is step 4, is to answer the problem. Now, I will encourage you to write all these steps because we're going to use all these when I'm showing you the examples here in this video. Okay, here is our first example. The product of a certain number and 6 is 72. What is the number? Now take a look that I highlighted the word and the word product. I would like you to think about this word and what does this mean? Okay, and so we're going to go back to this word on the second step. Okay, but first, step 1. Step 1 says introduce a variable or a pronumeral. In this problem, it mentioned of a certain number. And so I'm going to represent this certain number by a variable or pronumeral. And I'm going to assign the letter n. Remember that when you're using a variable, you can use any letter in the alphabet. So at this point, at this problem, I'm going to use n. Now that I have assigned the variable, I'm done with step 1. I'm going to step 2 now. And in step 2, I'm going back to this highlighted word. Product means the answer in multiplication. Because I know the meaning of product, now I am aware that I'm going to use the operation of multiplication. So multiplication of certain number and 6, which will give 72. So if I write that in equation, I will have n times 6 equals 72. Now, let's check. Did I write this equation appropriately? Okay, no, I don't think so. So I'm going to rewrite that and I'm going to change it to 6n equals 72. We already studied this and we said that to write the equation appropriately, the coefficient or the number should be written first before the variable. Okay, now that I have written it appropriately, I can now move to step 3. In step 3, it says solve the problem. So I'm going to write this appropriately written equation in step 3. 6 times n equals 72. The operation is multiplication. To undo multiplication, we should use the inverse operation, which is division. So I'm going to divide both sides, both the left-hand side and right-hand side, by our coefficient 6. Remember that what you do to one side, you should always do it to the other side to balance the equation. So, to get the answer, 6 divided by 6 is 1, so you will have 1n, and you don't have to write the number 1. N is fine, equals 72 divided by 6. So in step 4, n is equal to 12 because 72 divided by 6 is 12. So our number is 12. Okay, now I hope you have seen the importance of these 4 steps that we have written or that I have given to you. Okay, now let's move on to the second example. Second example, if a number is multiplied by 6 and 7 is subtracted from the product, the answer is 23. What is the number? Again, I have highlighted 2 words here, multiplied and subtracted. And maybe you can also consider the word product here. So what I would like you to do is stop the video and solve this problem by writing equations. And also remember to do all 4 steps. Okay, and then once you are done, play the video and then check if you have the same answer. Okay, now I'm thinking that you have done you already solved the problem. Okay, so let's do step one. Step one is to introduce a variable. So it mentions here of a number. So this number, I'm going to represent it by a variable. This time I'm not going to use letter N, so that you know that you can use any letter. This time I'm going to represent the number as X. Okay, so step two, we are now writing the equation. It says multiplied, and multiplied is your times. And then there's also subtracted, which means minus. So you should be aware and you should know that you will be doing times and minus. Okay, and then from, the word from, the product, from the answer. So looking at the first phrase, number is multiplied by 6. So I'm going to multiply my variable to 6. And on the second phrase, it says 7 is subtracted from the product. So from the answer in that multiplication that we have, we should subtract 7 from it. So when I write the equation, so we have 6 times x minus 7 equals 23. Now, this part about equals 23 should be easy because here it says the answer is 23. So it's straightforward. The answer should be 23. Okay. Now let's check our equation. Is it appropriately written? Yes, it is. So I'm not going to rewrite it. I'm going now to step 3, and that is solving the problem. By looking at the equation, we have here a two-step equation. Now, we already studied, and you studied, that when you have two-step equation, you undo addition or subtraction first. We have subtraction here, so to solve it, we use the opposite operation, which is plus. So I'm going to use plus 7 at the left-hand side, and if I add 7 at the left-hand side, I also have to add 7 at the right-hand side. Now, let's simplify this. Okay, 6x, there's no similar term, so it should just go down. Negative 7 plus 7 is 0. So on the left-hand side, we will have 6x. But on the right-hand side, 23 plus 7 is 30. Now, this means 6 times x equals 30. To undo multiplication, we are going to use the inverse operation, which is division. So we're going to divide both sides. Remember, we are balancing the equation, so we should divide both sides by the same amount. We're going to divide it both by 6 because 6 is the coefficient of your variable. And remember that we are isolating your variable. Okay, so 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 30 divided by 6 is 5. So step 4, the answer is x is equal to 5. So what is the number? The number is 5. Okay, I hope you have the same answer as this. Now, it doesn't matter if you use x, n, a, or whatever letter. The important thing is that you have a variable and that the answer is 5. Okay, let's move on to example number 3. Example number 3 is the sum of 3 consecutive integers is 30. What are the integers? Okay, stop the video again and solve this. But before you start solving, remember that you are looking for 3 numbers here or 3 integers. So you should be making a long equation here representing 3 integers. Okay, stop the video now and then solve this. Okay, I'm back. Let's check your answer. Okay, step 1, let's introduce a variable. That variable should represent the integer, and so I'm just going to use y. Okay, now this is only for the first integer. Step 2, I'm going to write the equation. Now, it says that I have a consecutive integer. So, consecutive integer, I can have an example of 1, 2, 3 are three numbers or three integers that are consecutive. But if I add all those three, I know I will not get 30. So, my integers are not 1, 2, and 3. So, I'm thinking of three numbers or trying to find three numbers or integers that when I add them together will give me 30. So how do I represent my y? My y is my first integer. So this y is the smallest of all the three integers. So y being the first, the next integer which is higher should be higher by 1. So the second integer should be y plus 1. And then the third integer should be y plus 2. So if I write it in the equation, I will have y, which is the first integer, plus, because it says the sum, that means that when you add them, you'll get 30. So the second integer is y plus 1, and then my second integer is y plus 2. So this is our equation. Now, for step 3, to solve the problem, I'm going to remove the brackets just to simplify the equation. So it's still the same, just without the brackets. Now I'm going to check which are like terms. I know y, and y are all like terms. 1 and 2 are like terms. So to simplify, I will do y plus y plus y, or 1y plus 1y plus 1y will give me 3y. Here we go. And then 1 plus 2, because they're like terms, they're both constants, is 3 equals 30. Now we have here a two-step equation. Remember that we undo the addition or subtraction first. So we're doing plus or addition first. The opposite of addition is subtraction. It's plus 3. So I'm going to subtract both sides by 3. So to simplify, there's no like term or similar term to 3y, so 3y will just go there. 3 minus 3 is 0. 30 minus 3 is 27. So now we have 3y equals 27. This means 3 times y, so the opposite of multiplication is division, and we should divide it by our coefficient, which is 3. So we're dividing 3 on both sides. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so you will end up with 1y equals 27 divided by 3 is 9. So our answer is y is equal to 9. Now to answer the questions, what are the integers? We should have three numbers or three integers. The smallest being 9. So the numbers are 9 for y. Y plus 1 is 10, so that's the second integer. Then the third one is 9 plus 2 because y is 9. So our third integer is 11. Okay, now at this point, let's check your understanding. So I have here problems that you are going to solve using writing equations.